I just found out actually that Ghost Adventures is going to the GW Zoo, and
Oh wow.
they are doing an investigation there. And as of recently, their investigation had to stop. Now it is that they had to stop recording because they found what looked like human remains on the grounds.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Bull Talks with Big Jim podcast.
Guess what, motherfucker?
Some of the information you are about to hear, some may find disturbing.
I don't know who gave them this or who gave them the clearance. On the crotch.
Oh my
Right
lord.
there.
Can we Google that?
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then I fucking stumbled down a dark hole and I love it.
Great cake parties. If I'm going to believe anybody's bullshit, I'm going to believe mine.
It sounds not politically correct, but
You two motherfuckers need Jesus.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Botox with Big Jim podcast. Of course, with me, I have my dad, and if you cannot tell from the voice, ladies and gentlemen, we have Saff Saffery from, of course, the documentary of Tiger King.
What's going on? Honestly, thank you guys for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Now, before we get started, and it's funny because we were literally just talking about this, and I saw a few articles online. It's not even a weird question. I just don't even know how to ask it. Do you prefer it to be called Saff, or like, because one of the articles that I read was saying that someone misgendered you.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going around. But honestly, I don't think I've ever had a preference. It's pretty obvious, what I prefer, how I live my life. But I don't think I've ever pushed anything on anybody.
Okay.
Saff, I love that. I'm very used to that. The military, along with at home, all of us were called Saff. I mean, my sisters are called Saff. My brother is called Saff. My father before us was called Saff. So
Yeah.
It's our name, Saffery is just short for that. Other than that, man, I don't really have a preference. I just like to be happy.
No, that's great. That's a great way to put it. And earlier today, I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, if you're coming home early, just kind of be quiet because we're going to be interviewing Saff." She saw the documentary. I honestly have to say I have not seen it yet because we're interviewing you, not the documentary. So when she was talking about, when I was talking about you, she's like referring to you as him. I'm like, well, babe, he was born a woman. Damn, I can hear her through the phone. What the hell are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, hon. I don't know her first name, but her first Saff is her last name, and that's a name that she goes by. So she just got home, and she's a very loud person. So if you hear her in the background,
That's my
she's
mom.
excited that we're talking to you.
Yeah, heck yeah. No, I think I've put it out enough that I think the media and the the public kind of made a bigger deal of it than I did. Not to dismiss anything and not to say that something is more important or not important than anything else, but I just never really gave it any thought, man. Like you said, my last name is Saffery.
Mm-hmm.
Saff is short for that, and that's just how it's been my whole life. It had nothing to do with what I needed people to call me or what my preference was. That's just how it's always been. So, yeah.
Well, like I said, thank you so much for coming on. I honestly, anytime that I've asked anybody to come on and be a guest, I anticipate people saying no. And so far, everyone said yes. And when you said yes, I mean, my dad right there can testify. We were at a brewery, sitting outdoors, and I was pumping for joy. I was like, get out of here. No freaking way. I was.
Yeah. He did. I was sitting across from him down on the opposite side of the table, and he's like, oh my God. I'm like, what, dude? He's like, he said yes. And I'm like, who's he? He's like, freaking Saff. I'm like,
yeah.
Who's that? And obviously I was like, oh, okay, now I see why he's excited. So yeah, we ordered a round of beer. We were with our families. So him, his wife, my wife. And yeah, he was stoked. So this
Oh, yeah.
interview is highlight of the day, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. I'm juiced, and as you can see, I got your favorite animal here, and I,
Do that. I
I've
love
been I've been dropping
right
little
out.
hints, man. I've been dropping little hints.
I loved it. Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
All right.
I'll be honest with you guys. Podcasts make everything better. I'm so happy to be a part of them now and not just a listener because, man, when you can have just random conversation about anything and everything, there's so much more you can relate to, rather than when someone's trying to tell a story. So I love
Right.
it. I'm so glad I get to be part of this world because before this, Tigers don't do podcasts, man. So
Right.
never been part of this. So
And
I love it. You have to know that it means a lot more to me than you guys think. So
absolutely. And I think with like certain documentaries, and I'm not going to point out certain ones or anything like that, but some people like they try to hold back, like they don't want to give whatever company that they're working for a bad name or cast shadows, or cast
right.
shade. But from the jump and I believe from the first episode, of Tiger King, you even said this is just me. It's
Yeah,
just who I am, and to
yeah,
me, because my dad really is the one who got me listening to podcasts, and Rogan, like I'm sure many people, was the
yeah,
first one that I started listening to. I was like, this guy's blowing my
yeah,
fucking mind. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's all the stuff we want to say, but we have no place to say it and be socially acceptable.
Right.
This way you create your own audience, and those are the people who know what to expect. But I love just being able to have conversation. People forget about conversation nowadays. We can
Especially
literally
now.
sit in the waiting room of a doctor's office and be on our phones for an hour without even knowing someone else is there. And
Right.
this is an opportunity to do both of that. Get to know people, man. Just have conversation. I love it. I really
It's
do.
Yeah.
it's amazing. So, all right, I mean, we kind of already did an icebreaker question, but to me, this is like one of my, I have to know, and I really want to know from your opinion.
Okay, hang on.
Oh boy,
Hang
here we
on.
go. Here we go.
All right, babe, you can come and say hello. Seriously. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mom.
Hello,
What's
hello.
up?
The one that holds it all together right there, huh?
Yes.
Yes, I try to.
Oh, I bet you
Nice
do.
to meet you. It's a pleasure. I think it's
Yeah,
pretty awesome what you're doing. That's awesome.
yeah, absolutely. No, thank them for having me. Honestly, I was looking
All
forward to
right.
it. Just good conversation with a couple of guys. Yeah.
There you go. You'll get a lot out of these two. I promise you that.
Yeah, it's true.
Down.
Nice to meet you, Seth.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Go do your thing. Sorry.
Thank you, Ma. All right, so here we go. This is the burning question that I really want to know is, of the two, who has the best fashion? Was it Carol Baskin or was it Joe Exotic?
I mean, I can't imagine them not going to the same closet. Um, pretty the same. I mean, it's shiny, it's animal print, it's really loud. I'm pretty sure they shop at the exact same places. So,
It's
I mean,
hard.
that's real.
It's hard.
That's
Yeah,
real.
it's hard. It's hard.
I
It's
don't.
hard. It's hard to pick. So, all right. So, life outside of the documentary, especially right now. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you recently just moved to California, correct?
I did January of this year.
January.
Yes,
Damn.
sir.
So I mean, we were on a good peak, and then next thing you know, Corona hits, and now half the damn state's on fire. How's
Yeah.
everything? How's everything going? How's everything going with you and with your family?
Thankfully, where I am at in Redlands, we're not in the danger areas of any of these fires so far. I actually, for an entire day, seen the entire apple fire. I mean, you could see the plume, the smoke plume, for miles. We could see it from the beach. So they're bad fires. But we are fortunate enough to be out of the danger zone for those.
Mm-hmm.
Corona is actually obviously COVID is taking its toll on everybody, but that's what's affecting us the most here in Redlands, California, because like you said, things are shut down.
Yep.
The limited use or limited access to a lot of things, and then we have the kids home, like they're home. We're schooling them from home. We're trying to entertain them from home, and if you can imagine one child in a 20 by 20 classroom, multiply that by the three that I have, and then take the number that you have or space that you have and just shrink it down. It might as well be we lock them in a closet because they're going out of their mind, and so am I. But,
Yeah.
trying to make it work. I think honestly that's our biggest struggle. It's not anything outside the house. It's just trying to keep the peace inside the house.
Right.
So.
Right. I think that's really what the struggle is right now for like you said, for everybody. Because when this whole thing started, my daughter and I were doing jujitsu, and obviously we couldn't go to the gym, so we started doing stuff here at the house. And I think just with everybody, you're just so comfortable being home.
You can get as creative as you want in these times, and then you have to get more creative, and then you have to think outside of that box. Man, it gets hard.
Yeah.
Under this harder, especially or inside your own personal. Like I said, that's our biggest struggle. But with Tom, you do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, it's just nuts, with this whole Corona thing, especially, and even now with the fire, because people are being evacuated. It's like, holy shit, like we're supposed to stay inside and be healthy, but now we got these fires pushing us outside, and now we're getting hit with like a double whammy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's how 2020 so far has been. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's the other, and then at some point, it's both of those things at once.
Right.
It never let us in California. I can't speak for the rest of the country, but here in California, where I am, within my county that I'm sitting in, I mean, we've had the riots go on, and I know that's happened all over the country.
Yeah.
But here we had the riots, and of course, COVID affecting everybody. And then the fires here in California, and I mean, just back and forth with the protocol changes, that the governor is making. I mean, it's been crazy here in California. I can't imagine what the rest of the world is doing, but it's just adapt and overcome, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I was actually listening. I kind of caught the tail end of it, but you were recently on the Wax podcast, correct?
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
So
Yes,
I caught the tail end of that, or just a snippet of it before I had to go back to work. In that
cool.
episode, I believe you mentioned, because of with Tiger King and everything else, there was just so much footage, right? There's just so much stuff that was put out there. But I believe you said what they shown though was the worst of the worst. And obviously, I mean, for rating views, they're going to show the craziest shit that happens. I mean, obviously with your arm and everything else. But my burning question is, what was the best of the best that wasn't shown? That in your opinion, just like, man, I wish this was in here because this was so much better than that.
Right. Great question. And the only answer I have to that, the only answer that could be proper is they should have shown more of our animal interactions. I know that in the back of almost every viewer that's watched that documentary, one question is, why would these people, the employees, not Joe, not Carol, not Jeff, why would these people continue to work for people like Joe or Jeff or Carol? Why would they continue to do this and this work, especially if the pay doesn't add up? The hours don't add up. The rewards, or just the whatever you're doing, the gratification, what are they getting out of it, and why do they continue to do this? And had they shown 10 minutes of our animal interactions on a daily basis, that question would have been none, man. I mean, that answers everything. If you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life,
Yeah.
And the best of the best footage in a documentary where you're trying to show an industry that is solely revolved around animals should have been the animal interactions.
Right.
It should have been.
Right.
So I wish they would have shown more of that.
Me too,
but,
because I mean, even with as crazy as Joe was, I mean, and you and I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's one of the funnier guys in there. When they asked him,
there was John Rinke.
John Rinke.
Yeah, that was my dude, man.
Yeah. When they asked him, how do you feel? He's like, It's a great job, but even like going to the zoo, just zoos in general, you see
Right.
people interact with these animals. And you're like, damn, this looks like fun. This looks
Right,
amazing.
exactly, right? I mean, people don't love Steve Irwin because, and I hate to say this, but it wasn't because of what he did for conservation. He was an amazing man for conservation, and his family continues to do so. Um, and it wasn't because of what he had or what he wore or what he said. It was because of what he did, man. Because he
Right.
got to watch every day jump on alligators and play with animals on a daily basis. That was his entire life. I still idolize that man. So it's because of what we did. It's not because of why we did it. It's not because of who we are when we're doing it. It's literally because of the interactions that we had with those beautiful animals. I mean,
Yeah.
who doesn't want that, right? And
Right.
that's what I wish they would have highlighted a little bit more than all the grungy stuff. But like I said, and like everyone in the world knows, man, that's the stuff that sells.
Right.
I all day someone can take a camera around and show their interactions with animals, and I'm sure people will love it. But this story, was one, in my personal opinion, that had to be said because the animal industry is not something that most of America thinks about.
Right.
Most of America goes to and from work without even in their head thinking, is there a guy somewhere with 200 tigers, and is
And
he
that,
doing it correct?
right.
No
And that's
one.
and that's the other thing too is when when the show starts off and he's like, yeah, I got about 280 some tigers. I was like, wait a
That's
minute, that's
excessive.
just in Oklahoma. What do you mean there's 200 tigers? So I think
Absolutely.
even painting that broad picture of
Oh yeah.
that many animals in just the U.S.,
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, holy shit, how is that even possible? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what I mean. It was definitely something that needed to be said, needed to be told, needed to be highlighted. But unfortunately, it put this really dark shadow on the industry itself.
Yeah.
I've been a part of that industry, and I'm sure it can get dark and ugly, but my experience with it was solely rewarding, man. The gratification I got out of working with those animals will be something that will never be replaced and never be found again. So
Yeah.
that was my lifetime lifer, and now I can just coast on, smile, and hope for the best.
Yeah.
That was it.
Now, you also mentioned in a recent interview that you went and you just Googled where can I pet a tiger? And here's kind of like I wouldn't say a curveball question, but a different question. Where do you think you would be right now if you Googled where can I pet a orca?
um, yeah, probably wherever that Google search took me. I'll be honest with you though. When I did that Google search, I honestly thought it would be somewhere in India. Somewhere just so far out that it would be something I would have to, attain to do or like acquire to something that I would need to work towards, work
Yeah.
for, like a goal, not a plan, like not
Yeah.
a. Hey, then I'll pack my stuff and I'll be there next week. Like never in my life would I thought that would have been the case, because that's how aloof I was to the industry in itself. I just knew the one thing I wanted, and I had the time to do right now was focus on maybe playing with some tigers. I mean, I didn't have a plan after the military. I just knew that I had to get into something else. I had to get the next best thing. I couldn't waste a second's time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I didn't, because I got to cram all this awesome experiences and all these awesome memories into a decently short period of time in my life, and I'm still young enough to enjoy all that.
Yeah.
Just kind of soak it all in.
Yeah. And,
So
and
where
that,
were you when
yeah, go
you
ahead.
hooked up with the show? I mean, where did you live?
I was stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, to transition. Maybe about 6 months I spent transitioning out of the military. So
How
it
long
was.
were you in?
I was in for 6. So I joined in '04, and I got out in 10. And yeah, I could have re-upped. I could have re-enlisted and just continued my career in the military. But I honestly wanted to see what else was out there for me. Not that I accomplished everything that I could have in the military, but I accomplished every personal goal I had in the military. Gain some discipline, gain some structure, um, put a little bit of rank on my chest, but ultimately feel good about myself. Feel like I accomplished something as an adult, because before that, out of high school, had I stayed in Hawaii and not really pursued the military, not really pursued anything that built, structure and character within myself, man, I would have been in jail. I would have been probably dead by now.
And
I didn't have a mindset of a disciplined, structured man. I had a mindset of, if it doesn't kill me, it makes me stronger. So let's go, just keep going until that one knocks me down. And I lost my mother, and my dad was sick, but I was at a point in my life where I had to figure out whether I wanted to go up or whether I wanted to go down. And the military was my ticket up. So I took it as soon as I could. And then, like I said, after that, good, solid career in the military, I wanted to move on to the next the next best thing, the next big thing. And I wanted to do something that would excite me again and make me feel like, shit, I still got it, a little bit. I still got it. So I did that Google search thinking, hey, I might be on a plane to India in a few months, but it was like an hour and a half away from me in Wynnewood, Oklahoma. And I was like, holy smokes, man, I'll be there next week, And it was because I still had to transition out of the military. But
yeah,
after about a couple of weeks of initial contact with Joe, I was on his park. I was like staring at his 200 plus tigers, just like, I'm never leaving this place. Like, I'm never leaving.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
and I never did for a decent long time. Yeah, it was pretty
So
good.
did you live on the grounds? Did you live
I did.
there? Oh, okay.
When I first got there, he has employee housing. So he set me up in one of those. And then after about a week or so of that, I realized that this may be something that I want to do permanently. I did have a family at the time, but, this draws back to, I was so selfish and so self-centered, that I wanted to focus on something that took me away, that I could consume myself with and not have to be responsible or accountable for anything else. Still growing up, as silly as that may sound.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
not silly at all. Trust me.
when I joined the park, I actually made the conscious decision to do that instead of go home from the military to my family, to be responsible for my family. But I think it was something I needed, I tell a lot of people that park saved my life, in so many ways. It put me in a place where I could gather myself again. I could be happy again. It was something that I had that I could wake up to every day that I was willing to do 100%, I was so happy on that park, man, every single day. And then you wake up again and you realize that your life hasn't gone anywhere. You've been happy, but it hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I was hoping for, I was like, you know what, but I have spent all this time giving back to these animals, advocating for these animals, doing what's best for these animals. And then when I realized that none of those are correct, I have literally not done anything for them. I've done my best, but they're not any further or any better off than they were when I first met them. I had to leave. I had to kind of disconnect from the park, disconnect from the illusion that I was happy and I was doing good, doing good things, and returning that happiness and that gratification that I wasn't. So I just stepped away completely. 2018, I moved away from the park, moved off the park, moved a couple of towns down, and just tried to start all over. I reconnected with my family and just tried to pick life back up. It wasn't working out in Oklahoma, so I packed up again and moved to California. I tried to get as close to the Pacific Ocean as I could. I was born and raised in Hawaii, so I wanted to get back there without being stuck on that rock again,
Yeah.
California, and I've been here since January. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Nice. But you're in Redland, correct?
Redlands, California, San Bernardino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hot.
Yeah, that's how the shit.
So hot. I believe it was like 116 the other day, and I couldn't even believe. I thought something was broken, or I was in the wrong city or state. I was like, this cannot be California.
You know what's even funnier? You know what's even funnier? Last year in 2019, I visited Oklahoma, and I did not think it was humid. I thought it'd be dry. It gets fucking humid. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
It gets humid.
No, right. It does. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
So much water. There's so much water in Oklahoma that people don't consider, when it comes to that type of heat. And yeah, you're right. You would think it would be dry because it's flat. No mountains, barely any hills.
Yeah. I mean,
But
there's
no, man.
even one of the bigger rivers that run through there, right?
Yeah, well, there's the Red River, then there's Lake Texoma.
That's the one. Yeah.
There's a bunch of waters. Texas has, it's on the coast,
Hmm.
and then I mean, I didn't expect it either in Oklahoma, and I was in Lawton for a very long time. This is where Fort Sill is Lawton, Oklahoma, and there's a lot of areas where you can go there. Like there's Wichita, you can go up the mountains, Mount Scott. No, not Mount Scott. Yeah, it's Mount Scott, and it's not the weather's amazing there. I've never been there and been like extremely hot. And I was like, that can't be right. I mean, I haven't gone anywhere different. But here in California, it's the same way. Like if I was to drive to San Bernardino Mountains or like Big Bear, it's
Hmm.
like 15 degrees cooler up there.
Yeah.
I'm staying where it's hot. Apparently, I need to move
Yeah.
closer to the beach.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just
it's
a little bit.
incredible the difference it makes. But I'll learn. Eventually, I'll find that sweet spot, and then I'll settle.
So
Yeah, any more inland, the only bad thing you're gonna have to deal with is traffic. You
yeah,
have
Right,
jeez.
this traffic, and it's
right.
terrible. So
Oh my
Especially
goodness.
here.
you're okay.
Yeah,
Especially here. So as mentioned, you have three kids.
I do.
So I'm assuming, and this is just assuming, are any of them superhero fans?
Superhero fans. I would say yes. I would say yes. I get down on them a lot because my favorite will always be Batman. And I have zero explanation for it because I choose not to. I love Batman.
So then I have to
But
ask.
no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So then I have to ask. Did you watch the Batman trailer?
I think she
Are you
froze.
talking about the new one?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I have not. I'll
Oh,
be honest with you. There's 3 televisions I have access to in this house, and I never get to watch any of them. So
that definitely sounds
watch.
like a family home.
Yeah, that's a
I,
family. You definitely
I
got
could
3
sing.
kids.
Oh yeah, I could totally sing. Every Disney theme song to you by heart.
Oh
But
yeah.
I haven't seen anything new in years.
Well, when you get a chance, you got to watch that new Batman trailer. I'm telling you right now, this is. We just got done talking to someone, and we were blown away by it.
Heck yeah, heck
Yeah.
yeah, I will. I will. I'll find some time.
Okay. So going on, next question that I would like to ask you, and this is kind of where I'm torn, and I know like you said, you're an advocate for the animals, but because I see both sides of the fence, kind of. Would you rather, or in your opinion, is it safer for the animals to be returned back to the wild, or is it safer for them to stay in the captivity that they're in? Because I know when they're in captivity, if they do go out to the wild and returned, the animals that are out there will kind of turn on them, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's like 40 parts to that question, and 40 different answers.
Yeah.
But in the most generic way to say it, it is honestly illegal to return any captive animal to the wild for that reason. Exactly. You can't. I mean, there are rehabilitators, but none of those animals were ever captive. They were, rehab specifically to be returned to the wild. They were brought there out of the wild injured and then rehabilitated and then returned to the wild. A captive animal has already had a captive life and a captive routine. They don't even know what hunting is. They do have that, predatory nature. They'll always chase things that run. But I've seen them actually catch something and not know what to do with it because all of that instinct was not necessary for their entire life. They never had to hunt because things were given to them. They never had to search for water because water was always fresh in a bowl in front of them.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has been done before, and I'm sure it can be done in the future. I think we just need to rethink our way of having these animals in captivity, and also I do believe that the breeding is adding to the increasing number in captivity. We
Right.
have more tigers in captivity than we do in the wild. Um, Do I believe they're better off in the wild? Of course, man. That's the way that it was supposed to be.
Right.
You know? But are they safer? I don't know. You know, I know they're safe in a cage because the only thing that can hurt them is me who put them in that cage.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So if I love them and if I want them to thrive, they're safe.
Right.
But there's a lot of people putting animals in cages and not loving them and not wanting them to thrive or not giving them opportunities to do just that. So I think, I don't know, man. I've never seen them in the wild, you know, and I'm not an expert by any means. You know, I'm just some guy who used to work with them, you know, for a little time. But I've never seen them in the wild. I'd love to. Wherever that wild is, I want to go there and I want to see them there. But I do know that the animals that were in my care, the animals that I was able to share, you know, that journey with for whatever time I was, man, everything they needed, I gave it to them. If I couldn't give it to them myself, I found somebody who could.
Yeah.
You know, when you love them, then that cage is their salvation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But do they belong in that cage? Absolutely not. Nah, man. No
Yeah.
one belongs in a cage, you know?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I totally agree because it's kind of the same way like with people who are in prison, right? They're in prison for 70 years, and then they come back to this world where, you know, they have one of these
Right.
that they have to operate with now, and it's like, what in the hell is that? I'm used to
Yeah.
a old
No,
school.
it's anytime you take something and you know, program it almost to be another way. I mean, even in the military, transitioning out of the military back to civilian life sometimes is not as easy as it looks on paper. You
Yeah.
know, I had a smooth transition. I just mind over mattered and jumped from the military into something else that consumed my everyday life. I didn't even think about my transition out of the military. But there are men and women around the world that struggle with it. You know,
Right.
anytime you're taking something out of its element and throwing it into a different environment, you're going to have some hardships. You're going to have some struggle, you know, but adaptation, you know, overcoming these animals, they had no choice. You know, no one talked them through it. No one gave them a prep talk like, hey, we're going to put you in a box. We're going to do everything you need. And then
Yeah.
we're going to put you back in the jungle and see how you fare. You know, you can't do that. I don't think that that's fair at all. But I mean, right now, honestly, the way that I feel about the animal industry, the exotic animal industry, you know, because that's the one I was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have just dug ourselves into a big hole, and we don't know how to get out. But now we have more tigers in captivity here in America than
Yeah.
they do in the world, in the wild,
Yeah.
and that's a big hole. You know what I mean?
It's huge.
It's a matter of like going back to level ground, you know, finding out what we can do with the captive animals for the best interest of them, and then the ones that are in the wild, doing everything we can to conserve what they have, you know, and give them back what we took.
Yeah.
But it's not like something that can happen overnight, you know. You
Yeah.
have to come to some kind of agreement. Here in America, the reason we have so many captive tigers is because they make us money here in America. That's why. That's just it.
Yeah, it's solely off of that green, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, the next question that I want to ask, and this is going to be weird. All right, so prep yourself.
All
Okay.
right.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Depends. I mean, yeah. Have I ever seen one? No. I'm never against anything though, you know?
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, man, when I was a kid, I've heard lots of things go bump in the night. So
Yeah.
I've been afraid of whatever those are.
Yeah.
But as an adult, no, I don't believe that there are. I'm always down for everything. I love watching supernatural shows. I actually had an actual conversation with Nick Groff off of Ghost Adventures.
Shut.
We're gonna go adventuring someday, and that's gonna be incredible. But I would do that with anybody. I just want to go out and get my heart pumping.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get to the question that I want to ask, but
All right, get it.
so I'm not sure how far you've traveled so far in California, but there are a lot of places that are quote unquote haunted, specifically up here in the Bay Area. We
Okay.
have the USS Hornet,
The ship.
which is the ship.
Yes.
Yeah, we have that, and that is on a list that's probably like number 8 or 9 of one of the most top 10 haunted areas just
And it's
in
open
the
to
Bay
the
Area.
public, or is
Open
it
to the
something?
public. Well, maybe not now because of, COVID and everything,
Right.
but yeah, 100%. You pay a dollar amount and you go ghost hunting.
Let's go, man.
Let's go. Yeah. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite places, and you just mentioned Nick Groff, who, was a part of a TV show back in the day, who blew up because of a famous city, now really even more famous city up in Nevada called Virginia City. And that is by far one of my favorite places to ever go to.
I've never been there.
Oh, Saff, I'm telling you right now, you want to hear something is go bump in the night. You want to experience something. That's the place. I mean, I could tell you, I've only been there 3-4 times, and I have some stories. My uncle, his brother actually, he was 100% skeptic. Yeah, he's 100% skeptic. Nah, this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And we actually went to the old Washoe Club, and we're getting this tour. This, mind you, during the broad daylight, and we're walking, and this guy's telling us, yeah, this used to be this room. She was a prostitute, and she did this X, Y, and Z. And as we're leaving, the door hits my uncle in the back of his foot. No one was behind him. 1, 2, everyone was in front of him.
Right.
And as soon as that happened, he could.
That was it.
That was it. And he was like, get me out of here.
Oh yeah, I bet, man. And you speak about your dad a lot. My dad,
Oh, bless you.
he absolutely loved scaring the hell out of us kids. And
Really?
we were the perfect candidate because everything that my dad did was just like so intense, and it scared the hell out of us. Yeah. So he was the dad that would, like, it was all harmless, but he was the dad that would, like, put on a scary movie, and we thought we were winning. We're like, heck yeah, Dad said we could watch a scary movie. He'd turn all the lights off and then, like, go outside and just jump scare us through the window,
Yeah.
And man, back then obviously it was terrifying, but now as an adult and especially as a parent, I'm like, he was the greatest. That's the greatest thing ever, He prepared me for just loving adrenaline,
I love scaring people now.
Yeah,
I love scaring people now.
I do too. My family's not too keen of it, but they'll get used to it.
The only difference now, though, is that it wasn't this gentleman that's joining us. It was the woman that came on, my mom. She would scare the living hell out of us. To this day, she'll just still do it.
No, yeah, man, it's one of the funniest things I've ever done, and I'm so glad that I got to watch that full circle. I used to be that kid that my dad used to scare the pants off, but now my kids get to enjoy that. So I love it. I love it.
So the question that led me to this, I just found out actually that Ghost Adventures is going to the GW Zoo. And they are doing an investigation there, and as of recently, their investigation had to stop. Now, it was reported, and I haven't seen anything else on it yet. I haven't looked too far. I doubt that you may have an answer for this question, but what they said is that they had to stop recording because they found what looked like human remains on the grounds. Now, I bring that up not because of whatever the issue, whatever that may be, and it is purely speculation, but I wanted to know, while at the zoo, did you ever experience anything ghostly? Did you ever, anything bump in the night, like you said?
Right. No, I haven't. But since I've been an adult, since childhood, I haven't experienced it anywhere else. So not on that park, but not anywhere else in my life as an adult have I experienced that type of circumstance or whatnot. But I mean, I know that that park has a story to tell. Yeah. I mean, man, oh man, if they do find someone to communicate with there, I will watch. I will tune into that episode.
Absolutely, that'd be nuts.
Tune in. Those walls of the whatever quote unquote walls of that park. If those walls could talk, man, holy smokes.
Well, I mean, growing up, you mentioned your dad's having fun with you guys, scaring you. I mean,
Yes.
he grew up in the lore or the legend of the Night Marchers, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Sir, he did.
So,
Oh, believe me, he's had many a stories to tell.
Hold
This
on.
it's
What is
so
that?
incredible. It's
the Night Marchers?
Yeah,
right.
I never knew that.
Oh,
I don't
I
know
will
that.
let her explain. Let him explain.
Folklore, man. You're good. You're good. It's folklore. It's basically the people who are trying to go from one place to another without being seen. So it's supposed to be done in the darkest, quietest of the night when no one expects, them to be walking around. Um, for what they're walking around for,
Hang on, you might have to repeat that.
or they're trying to just um would break path. So if you're late or sleeping in their path, they will walk on top of you. And because it's an entire chain of people, it almost feels like you can't breathe. They're just stomping on you, man. They're holding you down.
Yeah.
I've never
Called Night
had that
Marchers?
experience.
They're called Night Marchers. Yeah, look them up. I'm surprised you
Yeah,
never heard of them.
That sounds absolutely
yeah.
freaking
I'm
terrifying.
telling you, thing of nightmares, and it was such a big, huge, significant memory of my childhood.
Holy shit.
There in Hawaii, yeah. It was definitely something that every kid knew about in Hawaii. It was our boogeyman,
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what it was. Um, as an adult, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had a few experiences. My father, has told me some stories about when he's been walked upon and you just can't breathe. It's like they're holding, like someone's on your chest, just holding you down.
What?
Happening
It's like a night
in your
terror to
sleep, so
you.
this. Yeah,
Oh, like sleep
exactly. Yeah,
paralysis.
it's pretty
Sleep
crazy.
paralysis. Yeah, sleep
Sort of,
paralysis.
but it's just all in all, it's terrifying, especially when you're 9 and your dad's like, "Good luck."
Yeah.
Lights off.
Oh,
You don't have to be 9 to be. I'm 50 and I'd be terrified.
I'm 29. I'm
Yeah.
deathly terrified of fucking sleep paralysis. I had it one time and I almost lost my mind. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
like I said, I've never experienced it, but obviously as a kid, it was one of my biggest fears. So there are those. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Well, you're close to Long Beach, so you can definitely count, or you should look into going to the Queen Mary.
The Queen, I was just about to say.
I think that was on our little bucket list actually. Just me and my wife. Obviously not the kids.
Yeah.
Until this whole thing came over here in California, because LA County or Orange County, I'm sorry, that's Orange County, right? Long Beach.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. DLC.
Just like LA County, they're obviously the most. They're like on the highest alert. But
Yes.
Bernalillo County has like the highest numbers, and we have, I think, the protocols. Like we still wear our mask everywhere. Nothing's open except the essentials. So kind of a bummer, but I will check that out for sure when everything
because
comes back
there's
around.
like I said, there's a lot of places in California. Like there's even
Yeah.
one called
I
believe it's in LA County. It's called Los Hermanos Rancho. It's the Brothers Ranch. They even said that place is just like
Okay.
terrifying. It's a completely abandoned ranch that looks like, and with several other buildings, and people just get spooked.
Yeah. Well, she's also close to San Diego, the
Dude,
Wiley
I'm
House.
down.
The
San
Wiley
Diego's like
House
an
in San
hour
Diego.
40 from me.
Yep.
We were
Yeah.
there this week. The Wiley. I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait to actually enjoy and explore California. Do you guys remember those commercials? They had like
Oh yeah.
kids and actors and they're like, here we get to surf the web and like,
Yeah. One of them was George Lopez playing golf.
Yeah, all those California awesome things, commercials, and then I come here and like, not this.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's the famous line from Bruce Willis in Die Hard. Come to California. There's lots of stuff to do.
It'd be fun. Yeah.
And he's crawling through the freaking
there
air
you
duct.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
All right.
exactly it. That's exactly it. You know, I genuinely can't wait to enjoy California, especially San Francisco. I'm sure I'll find my way there as well. The redwoods. I've always wanted to go there, so
Oh, it's a
I
beautiful
can't wait.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
is
can't wait.
and it's interesting to get to the redwoods. I mean, just anything. Well, unfortunately right now that they're in danger of losing a lot of the trees right now. But anything up north, we were just there a few weeks ago, Mom and I, and you love it. You know, those are the things you just take advantage of. We lived in Arizona for 10 years, and I never saw the Grand Canyon. Never,
Wow.
never saw the Grand Canyon.
I
And
have.
I
Yeah.
grew up here in California, born and raised, and 3 weeks ago was the first time that I went to Muir Woods.
Isn't that incredible? Like, what are we doing, man? What are we
Yeah,
doing?
exactly. And
And
it's literally 30 minutes away. And I sit here at home like, oh man, it's too far. Or it's too hot. There's too many people.
oh yeah,
And I was like,
yeah,
what the hell am I doing?
that's exactly it. Exactly it,
Yeah.
man. And I've had those moments before, and I refuse to have them again, man. And hence, that's the reason I put in where can I pet a tiger? That's the reason that I like jumped out of my bed one day and said, I got to leave Oklahoma. I got to get closer to the ocean because I don't want to miss out on anything anymore, man. I'm tired of it. I just want to smile for the rest of my life.
And I
No,
can't
That's all I
I,
want to
I
do.
you
can't
are
even
on
argue
a,
with that. Yeah.
no, you are definitely on the right path to doing that.
100%.
When you transitioned out of the military, was that going directly into the zoo, or I don't even know the name of the facility, but the zoo?
Right.
Was that therapeutic? Did that help you get the mindset of, honestly, you're transitioning into a role of a parent?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
you're carrying an M16 and a sidearm, and all of a sudden now you're carrying a diaper bag and baby wipes.
Yeah.
That's the two different
That's it.
worlds, man.
That's exactly it. Was like I said, man, that park saved my life. It literally was everything I needed at that moment. I didn't have a hard time in the military, and there wasn't anything I was trying to forget. Like I said, I was just fortunate enough to have done my service and come out mentally sane, because that doesn't always happen.
No.
Mentally in tune. Uh, and that's why I was able to make the decision to consume myself with something that I enjoy, something that I love. And that way it's not work. I'm not even thinking about it. It's almost a reaction to get up and go do this thing. So yeah, it was the perfect transition. It was the smoothest way that I could have left my military career, which at that point was something I dedicated myself to the most for the most amount of time. So it was the most significant thing I've ever done as an adult. And then I joined the park. I started working at the park, never left the park. And that replaced my military experience, not intangible things and intangible things, and the things that it gave to me. It gave me, you know, purpose. It gave me reason. It gave me happiness and gratification. And I didn't need anything else but those things. So yeah, it definitely was an easy transition for sure. It made it everything that I needed to get out of the mindset of a military soldier and into the mindset of just an American citizen. It was everything I needed. So yeah.
Damn.
You know, listening to you talk and then looking at your page, and like I said, I had no clue what this conversation was going to lead to, or like I said, I didn't want it to be Tiger King. I
Yep.
wanted it to be Saff. And
Right.
then I didn't know the incident that happened with your arm. I had no clue. I just
Yeah.
found that out 2 days ago from my wife. and now knowing that there's that constant restriction, but you put something in one of your posts the other day, and you said, I don't call them one-handed cartwheels, I call them cartwheels.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, you know what, this guy Saff, you're all right. You're not letting that slow you down.
Yep.
And it's not here, it's here. It's, you know, your physical being, the mentality, you took care of that. Now it's the mentality, and your spirituality is like, you're 100%, man.
Man, I appreciate
100%.
that. I'll be honest, I struggled for a little bit after my incident. You know, obviously it knocked me down. It humbled me completely. You know, everything I thought I was, as close as I thought I was to untouchable and inhuman, immediately the reality was like, whatever. Calm down, buddy, you know? But so I'm down there and I'm one-handed and I'm staring at this situation and I'm like, dude, you can either let this take you over and that just be it, you know? Or you can just conquer the world one-handed. Like, what do you want to do?
And that's just it. Yeah, I don't even. If I wouldn't have found out that the limitation you have, I wouldn't have known it. If I wouldn't have looked at your post, I would have been, you know, wow, that's a very active person. What's the story behind it? And then, you know, so yeah, there's no default. You are original, so stay that
100%. Yeah, 100%. And that's why I think that's why so many people are just so drawn to you. And that's why I really wanted you to be on here, because you're just a down to earth person. You're hella cool. And this isn't, you know what I mean? It's not something that we're trying to fake the funk of.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? So
I really, man, I gotta be, you know, any other way. Like if the other day it's so funny because I was talking to my wife and she asked me a question and I said, man, I genuinely don't know the answer to that, and it really it pisses me off. Like, I should know the answer to that question. And she's like, you can calm down with all that overachiever. You know, I like to just go, what else? What else can we do? What else can we get our hands on? You know, what else can we get into? So yeah, I think that definitely helps. The military, every single thing I've been through in my entire life has molded me just the same as everyone else into this person that we are today. And I can't help but to be happy, you know, because there's been some struggles, regardless of all the dumb decisions, because there's been twice as many dumb decisions. Man, somehow I came out pretty good, and I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah.
well,
Yeah, don't feel bad. I probably made 4 or 5 dumb decisions before this podcast, so it's gonna happen.
Oh, seriously, yeah, but
Yeah, that is life. And
right? Yeah.
And there's another post that you have up here, and I'm kind of a person. I like tattoos as well, and there's a lot of them that I haven't got on, but this is one that I'm definitely considering. Be a best friend, tell the truth, and overuse I love you.
So beautiful, right? I will be honest with
Awesome.
you. I cannot take credit for that. That is a beautiful song. It's called Love Like Crazy.
Love Like Crazy.
Yeah, and it's by Lee Bryce. He's a country singer, and he's amazing. His lyrics, man, just like you said, his words just cut right through you, you know. And I'm a lyrics guy. I love to listen to a song for its tune, obviously, but mostly for its lyrics, you know, mostly for what they have to say, their message. And you'll be amazed at the beauty in some of the lyrics out nowadays. So that is lyrics. That's not something I wrote, but I absolutely love and live by that message for sure. I haven't for most of my life, but I will now.
And that's what I mean. That shows the direction of where you're going by far.
Yeah.
By far. You know, I can't imagine. I hear you saying that the changes you did after high school that you made saved your life. So I can't imagine what you've gone through beforehand, but what I see now, just by putting that and your previous posts about doing a cartwheel, I mean, that's championship vocabulary. You know, that is, you have to live life to go through it, to overcome it, to think like that. And you're doing it, Saff. You're doing it, Saff. So hats off to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. That means the
Absolutely.
world, because my biggest goal, you know, every single day is just be better than the person I was when I woke up, you know. My mom actually said the only time you should ever look down on someone is when you're helping them up. So
absolutely,
that's a great one.
I've had amazing people in my life my entire life. I've had amazing support pillars my entire life. Whether it was my siblings, my parents, who I lost both of my parents at a younger age, and so now I know that these little tiny bits of advice that they've just been throwing out of their mouth my entire life is everything, man. It's like the rope that I used to knot my nest of, you know, like I didn't know I needed it until I became this person. I started to run into these situations where it's like, man, my mom's trying to be guiding me this whole time, and I had no idea,
Absolutely.
you know. So yeah, it's all about I had to ground myself again in order to know how much I had at my fingertips, you know. And I'm starting to implement them, and it feels good, and I can't wait. You know, I can't wait for the results because up until this point in my life, I've been selfish, man. You know, I've been very selfish, and to be able to put my pride aside and kind of come down to a level where I'm willing to be open to advice and open to starting over or trying things different because the way I've been doing it this whole time hasn't been working, you know. To see all that, to implement all that, and to see it all come to fruition in a way that I absolutely, it warms my heart. Man, that's a beautiful thing. And I'm disappointed that I haven't been doing that this whole time, but it's those mistakes that you know grounded me in the first place. So
Right.
And it's hard to accept that. I mean, just like in our culture and even in yours, you come from a very prideful culture,
sure.
you know, and to accept, I don't want to say failure, but accept being wrong
Right.
is difficult, is
Right.
very, very difficult.
Oh, absolutely. And it was too big a pill for me to swallow for
Ah,
very time.
absolutely.
And you know, and that's my point is that whatever people see of me today that I see myself and that I love myself, man, they have no idea, you know, what the caterpillar before this butterfly looked like.
Yeah.
And I'm the only person who does. A few other people in my life do as well, but to be able to continually live my life the way that I want to, but also return, you know, everything that I've been given from all the people that's loved me my entire life. That's the most rewarding thing I've ever done, you know? So, yeah, I want to keep going on that path. And if I stray, hopefully I find my way back, right?
Well, I tell you what, being a parent, you're never going to forget that you need to give.
Yeah, 100%. That's true.
It's amazing. I mean, the lessons that they teach me
Yeah.
exceed the lessons that I teach them on any given day, and I love them for that. Yeah.
And they're not even aware of the power they have.
No, they're not, and I hope to keep
Oh,
it that
that's the
way.
crazy part.
I hope to keep it that way. Just for now. You know, when they grow up and they have their own families, hopefully they learn the lessons as well. But for now, I think just them knowing that I'll always have their back is all that they're gonna need.
Yep.
For now, we'll see. We'll see. You know what I was worried about the most with distance learning is I'm gonna have to somewhat know a lot of the stuff I tried to forget from high school, right? So the math, the math, the history. It's so funny. They bring up historical events that I am very aware of, but I don't know the timeline of. And I'm just like, yeah, that happened somewhere between 1900 and now.
Let me give you a pointer. Google Civil War.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm telling you, math is a killer.
Yeah.
Math is a killer.
And they switched it up on us.
Oh,
Yes.
dude.
I learned it the same way I learned it in school.
No. It's
Not
that
even
damn
me.
No.
Common Core.
Yeah,
Common Core should
Yeah.
be illegal.
What's going on with that? Like, what's going
No.
on? But like I said, I just have to basically I just have to be in class with them
Yeah.
so that I know what their homework consists of. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
It's his younger brother. He's still with. He's 14, and I'm going back to high school starting
Yeah, you
tomorrow
are.
at 8
Yeah, you are.
8:05 tomorrow morning.
Man, oh man. Yep. I'll see you there. I'll be a couple classes down. I'll see you there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
How old are your children?
They're younger. None of them are in school. Yeah, my oldest is 11.
See, that's
But
funny.
still, it's so interesting to see the huge difference just in the academic structure from the time I was in school. And obviously they were in school prior to this. So I've seen them go to and from school. They would bring their homework home, and it was easy because I could just answer little questions that they had.
Sure.
But
Sure.
now they're not sitting in a classroom for 6 hours. They're sitting on the computer for maybe 4, and there's no way they're engaged the way they were in class. You know what I mean? So they come out of their distance learning just like, like
Yeah.
I think we did something today, and then they have this homework, and you flip through these pages and pages of homework that's due on Friday or whatever, and you have no idea how to do it. And you can't tell them that because, they're
No.
looking at you like, I need some help. So you just have this panic moment, and you hope to God you get it all together beforehand, and you push through it.
Yeah.
And then you just wait. You just sit there and wait for it to be graded because it's not her grade.
It's yours.
Absolutely. And you're like, what do you mean? How'd you fail that? And you
I
go in
was
the room
right
like,
there with
"God
you.
damn, that was my mistake."
Yeah.
But man, honestly, it's been fun. I've been having a blast with it. They're going crazy, and I'm just trying to keep the peace. Make it as good as we can.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do have one last question. This is going to be coming from a follower. This is from the Marriage, Hauntings, and Murder podcast. They would like to know, does Saff still keep in contact or has made contact with Joe?
with Joe. So the last time I spoke to Joe, I talked to him while he was in Grady County Jail in 2018. I believe it was 18. I had already left the park. He had already left the park, and then he got arrested. So he was incarcerated in Oklahoma in our county jail, and he called me. And it was interesting that he called me. And I know, somehow the word got through the grapevine, but he called me the same week that I went and visited his mom in the nursing home. And I'm so glad that I was able to have that conversation with him, because person to person, human to human, I knew his parents both very well, on a personal level. And she has since passed. And I'm so glad that I was at least able to kind of relay, those tiny last messages between the two of them before, she had passed. Because I was very close to my mom. And I can only imagine in a situation that Joe's in, being in jail, being away from everybody, whatever the case is, I'm sure he wanted to talk to his mom. I'm sure regardless, she was somebody that could have given him some sort of comfort. So I'm glad I was able to at least give that to him before she passed away, especially now after she's passed. So that was the last time I've spoken to Joe. There is animosity. There's no, reason I'm not calling him. I have since changed my number, so even if he wanted to reach out, he couldn't. But it's not because I don't want him to. It's just because I feel it was best, especially when I left the zoo, to disconnect and not speak to anyone. So, no, I have not spoken to him since 2018, but I am glad that I did speak to him in 2018 because of his mom, for sure.
Saff, don't feel bad. Disconnecting is a part of learning and growing up.
For sure.
Right.
So,
the only way I could kind of grow from that situation was to disconnect from that situation. Other than that, it was just baggage. It was just something I was holding on to make myself feel better. But I wasn't able to go anywhere. And I'll be honest with you, Tiger King coming out on Netflix didn't help that at all. I'm throwing that out there. It made it hard to disconnect because now everyone else wants to get in contact with you and wants to talk to you. And again, I have no reason not to talk to them. I just tried to pull away so that I can focus on myself and prioritize correctly, because that park has trumped. It has been at the top of my priority list for almost 10 years. It was its time. It was time for me to put that on the back burner and focus on other things. So I'm glad I did too. It was a great experience, man. Like I said, man, there's so many things in my life that I'm thankful for, even when they hurt, even when they hit hard, even when, they made me upset or frustrated or angry. And even when I should have stopped, looked back, and just had immediate regret. Like, I regret nothing. every single thing I've been through has been everything I needed to get to where I am right now. And where I am right now is home, you know,
Yep.
I'm home finally. So
Yeah.
it's nice. Yeah.
I got a question. I mean, because of the internet, that's going to be, do you feel, by definition, do you feel like a pop star?
No. I really don't. And I don't dismiss the attention. Every single thing has been so positive and so uplifting that I have received that I can't help but to be humbled by it and to feel blessed by it. And I truly do. But I don't feel like I'm anything more than I was, you know, prior to this thing coming out. I think that I think it did exactly what it was supposed to, and that's draw attention to this industry. Even if people don't care about the Tigers, they still know about them. You know, even if people could care less if there's people owning them, if there's people, you know, selling them, if there's people doing circuses or whatever the case is, whatever the controversy is, even if they don't care about any of it, they still know about it. And that's more than there was prior to any kind of documentary coming out.
Yep.
So that itself is a positive for the industry. I for one, support that. Just having the attention that this documentary has brought to the industry is everything to the industry, you know, because you can't make a difference if no one helps. You cannot.
If no one knows.
You know, if no one knows, no one's helping, and you're not going to do it on your own.
Yeah.
So it's amazing that happened. Like I said, even if it passes over for one solid month, we'll say 3 solid months, every single person who watched that documentary Googled how to own a tiger in America. Every single one.
Yeah.
They did the exact same Google search I did. And that alone is incredible. I'm not saying I think everyone should own a tiger in America. I'm saying there was people who looked into it. I'm saying that people cared enough to find out what it takes, you know, so that when the laws come out, they don't just look past them like, what does that matter to me?
Right.
You know, it matters, you know? So it's a great thing for someone who was in the industry as long as I was. It's nice to see the amount of people who are interested in it, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, even if they were only talking about Joe's mullet or Carol's t-shirt, I know that they, you know, in their head had thought about the exotic animal industry at one point. So, yeah.
Well, Saff, thank you so much for coming on. I cannot thank you enough. This was awesome.
It's been a blast. It's been a blast. Honestly, thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know he's gonna go have a T-shirt of you printed and wear it.
Probably.
Man. It's been a blast, honestly, man. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. I'm actually totally surprised. I mean, this was an interview that I didn't know what was going to happen, but listening to you and hearing who you are and the whole, I call them cartwheels. That's a powerful message. Don't lose that attitude. Don't lose that attitude.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. And it's the one thing, it's my driving force, you know, it's my driving force, man, because there's a million factors in a day that's going to tell you how much you can't do, you know?
Yep.
And all you need is that one little driving force to just be like, shut up, man.
Yeah.
You know, that hold my beer moment.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Well, before you go, is there anything that you would like to promote? Is there anything that you would like to tell people, you know, don't keep exotic animals inside of your house?
Yeah, don't stick your hand in their mouth. That's always a good practice, you know. No, man, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful for the reception and for the you know, the positivity. Honestly, it's almost like it follows me, and I absolutely love it. So want to thank them for that, for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Saff. Thank you for talking to us.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Saff Saffery, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your family, and much.
Thank you
so
care.
much.
Thank you, Saff.
All right,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye-bye.